Hey everybody, my name is Colby from StarlinkHardware.com, and in this video today I'm going to be taking a look at this, which is the new Gen 3 standard wall mount. So this is the box that it comes in, and in this video I'm going to be doing an unboxing, review, giving you my initial impressions and showing you everything in the kit and kind of explaining things as I go along. And then I'm also going to go into how to install this, and I'll be doing a full installation tutorial, show you guys step by step how this works. So let's get right into it. So the cost of this mount is $55. That's in the United States market. You can get this from the online Starlink shop at shop.starlink.com. You have to have the Gen 3 kit in order to be able to access the page to be able to buy these Gen 3 accessories. So if you haven't already ordered your Gen 3, go ahead and do that first, and then you'll be able to see the accessories that you can order in the shop afterwards. So as far as compatibility goes, like I mentioned, this standard wall mount kit is for the Gen 3 standard Starlink dish, which is what I have here, the one with a little kickstand. So it's only compatible with this Gen 3 standard dish. Let's go ahead and jump into the unboxing, show you exactly what comes in the kit, and I'll also explain what tools you need to install. So the first thing that we have is instruction sheet. Typical Starlink fashion, no words or detailed information, just some pictures showing you how to install it. Like I mentioned, this video will also be a tutorial showing you step by step how to do it. So I'll ignore this for now. You can just follow along the video if you're going to be doing the install yourself. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is this little plastic piece that comes in the kit. This is actually how you install onto the Generation 3 antenna. So if you're not familiar with the Gen 3 antenna, there's just a kickstand that comes included in the kit. It doesn't have a mast or anything. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do I install this on a dish if it doesn't have the mast? So the first thing you'll have to know is that this kickstand is removable. So you just slide it down and it comes right off. This little piece that I had taken out first in the box, this is the adapter that will install onto this dish and allow you to be able to use this standard wall mount. So the mast now comes with the kit. So again, that's the first piece, this little plastic thing right here just snaps into place. Completely made out of plastic, but it feels very strong, sturdy. Let's set that aside. Moving right along here, I already kind of mentioned this. This is the mast that comes with the kit. So the way this works, once you have this installed on the antenna and you've got your wall mount installed on your wall, you're going to insert the mast, and this snaps into place into this plastic section here. And that will secure the dish to the mast. Go ahead and put these back. So next up in the kit, you've got your installation hardware. So you've got some cable clips in this bag. This is for cable management. A couple of these lag bolts included. So this will be used to fasten the mount to an exterior wall, to an eave, to a fascia board, whatever you're installing it to. These lag bolts will help you out. These are for wood. This isn't going to be compatible with concrete masonry setting. And then in this installation kit, we also have some silicone sealant. So this will be to seal around these bolts that you're drilling into the side of your home to prevent any water leaks. That is the hardware kit. Next up here, we have a little cover and the actual mount itself. So this is the piece that we'll be installing to the side of your house, and this little cover just helps keep it nice and clean. Looking on the bottom, it's got a spot here for the cable to be routed down through. And it is removable in case you ever need to service it. So this is made out of metal, and it looks like this is the adjustment screw. That's the other important thing about the Gen 3 Starlink dish, is that it doesn't have motors in it. So it can't manually, or it can't automatically aim itself. So you have to manually rotate it when you do the initial installation with this mount. So this little knob tightens down on the mast, allowing you to rotate. And then when you're done, you tighten this down to lock it in place, and hopefully you never have to mess with the alignment again. And that is everything in the kit. So it's pretty simple. Just a quick overview of the installation process now. We're really going to find a good location. We're going to take those lag bolts that are here in the hardware kit, and we're going to mark 2 locations for holes, and we're going to install those lag bolts on the side of our house, which secures the mount. We're going to put in the mast. We're going to take our antenna that has this little plate installed, and we're going to snap it down, lock it in place. And it's really that simple. From there, you just do some cable management and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and jump right into the installation tutorial.
Okay, so the tools that you will need for this project: you'll need a 14mm or 9/16 inch socket, you'll need a marking pencil, and you'll need a 1/4 inch drill bit with a drill.
Okay, so step 1 of the installation of the Gen 3 standard wall mount is to find an appropriate location for your mount. So I've already selected a location, but here's how I did it. So I used the Starlink app to go in and use the obstruction scanner tool to check for obstructions. So what you do is you open the app, you click on the check for obstructions, and you go to the area that you're wanting to install Starlink, and you use the camera on your phone to rotate around and scan the sky for potential obstructions, and Starlink will tell you whether it's a good spot or not. So use this to check your location and make sure it's going to be a good unobstructed spot before you start drilling any holes or anything. And usually the peak of your roof is best. So on my garage here, what I'm going to be doing is installing at the very peak on the fascia board. So I know that's a good location. I've got a nice clear sky to the north, and that's where I'm going to be installing it. So let's get into it. So just a quick note before we really get into it. This is what the wall mount looks like, the wall mount part without the mast. It's important to note that this only accommodates a 4-inch roof overhang. So as you can see right here, I've got probably more than 12 inches here on mine. So you can't put it on an exterior wall if you've got a big overhang like this. You're gonna have to mount, like I'm gonna do, directly to the fascia board. So go ahead and, once you found your location with your app, kind of do a dry run here, come up here and test and make sure that this is actually going to work and provide enough clearance. The other thing to worry about is the height from the mast to your roof location. So it's best to install it as high as you can on your roof so that you don't run into any potential issues with the dish hitting your roof surface. So if you do have a lower overhang and you're going to do a exterior wall mount, make sure you push it up enough on your wall to make sure that dish can actually clear the roof structure. Okay, so next you'll want to mark the holes so you'll be able to drill the pilot holes for the lag bolts. And so I'm up at the roof peak here, and I'm going to install it kind of off to one side, and I'm doing that so that I can make sure that it's nice and level without bringing a level up here. And I'm also drilling right into a structural member. I'm drilled straight in, so if you're mounting to a wall, you want to make sure, use a stud finder, make sure you're going into an actual stud location. So take a marking pencil, mark a couple hole locations, again making sure that it's level, and next we're gonna drill our pilot holes. Okay, got our pilot holes marked. I'm using a 1/4 inch drill bit to drill these holes as deep as I can to accommodate those lag bolts. And there we go. And I can tell that I'm drilling into good structure that will be able to hold this mount because of how thick it was when I was going through with the drill bit and how much material came out. So now we can move on to installing the lag bolts.
And one more thing that I forgot, before we can install the lag bolts, we've got to use the included silicone sealant. Try to get some inside the holes here and around the hole. That will prevent any water from coming through. I'm just going to squeeze some right into the hole and then put some around it as well. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to actually install the mount with the 2 included lag bolts. So here's a little tip for you. Don't worry about carrying this mount up at first. Just take your lag bolt that's included and start it in the bottom hole. And you'll want to screw that in almost all the way. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick, speed up the camera. Oh, by the way, I'm using a 14 millimeter. You can also use a 9/16 inch socket for this. Okay, so once you have it almost all the way in, go ahead and slide the mount down onto your bolt, line it up with the other hole, and now you can finish screwing in this bottom one. Just kind of snug it up just a little bit. That'll make it a lot easier, so that way you don't have to try to like hold the mount at the same time as you're trying to screw in these lag bolts. So just got it snugged up here a little bit more. Okay, now that it's held in place, I'm going to take my other lag bolt and go into the top one, which I can access through the bottom of the mount, and I'm going to screw that one in as well. Okay, both of them are snug down, just making sure that I'm level again. And I'm going off of this seam right here for me, but you can also use a level. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten them down, final tight. You don't have to go too crazy here, just want to make sure that it's nice and snug. And yeah, that's not going anywhere. Okay, next step is to insert the mast into the mast base. So this is the part, like I mentioned in the unboxing portion of the video, this is the part that will snap into the actual Starlink dish. But first we have to prepare the cable route. So to do that, insert the mast into this until it snaps into place. And you can see that it only really goes one way. You can't install it wrong. How this works is these little plastic tabs will snap into these holes. There's 4 of them. So a little bit of a warning here. Only do this when you're ready to actually snap it together, because it's very, very difficult to get these back apart. You kind of have to press these tabs in almost all at the same time. It's very difficult. This is not really meant to be taken back apart. So only do this when you're actually ready to go. So let's go ahead and insert it until it snaps into place. And I can tell that I'm lined up because it's flush here on the top. Yeah, that's solid. There's almost no way to get that back out. So now that we've done that, we can begin routing the cable. So you want to start by on the ground here with your cable in hand. This is the Gen 3 standard cable. This is the 50-foot cable that it comes in the kit. Doesn't matter which end you start with. So I'm just going to grab this end here. See this little notch right here at the bottom of the mast? Go ahead and route it through there. It fits, and push it up all the way through so that it ends up like this. And now you're ready to install this into the actual Gen 3 standard dish. Okay, now that we've got this assembled here with our mast and our mounting plate and our cable routed through everything, it's time to mount this to the actual Gen 3 dish itself. So we'll start by removing this kickstand, and to do that, go ahead and fold it down, lift up on this tab right here, and just pull straight out. Now that exposes your cable connector here, and this will allow you to slide in the mounting plate for the Gen 3 standard wall mount. So first thing you do here is route the cable and plug that in, tab side up. Make sure it's fully seated, and you'll be able to tell because the water moisture seal right here is completely flush. So once that cable is secured in place, go ahead and slide the mounting bracket into place. And I'm kind of pulling the cable as I do that so that it slides in. And it should snap right into place. Just like that.
And there you go. Now we're ready to take our dish up and put it on the actual mount. Okay, one more thing actually before we're ready to snap the mount in place. So take the other end of the cable that is going to be going into through your wall into your home. Take it up to the mount and see this hole right here, sort of at the top behind the mast mounting location. Feed that down through, and the way that works, just shove it down through the top and then pull all the excess cable that you can. And once you do that, now we're ready to put the dish up and install the mast in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rest of this through, or as much as I can, and then carry the dish up. Okay, moment of truth here. I've got my Gen 3 dish, and I'm just gonna put the mast, set it down into the mount, and then start feeding the remaining cable back through so I can get it all the excess out of here. Okay, so let me rotate this so I can show you. So the correct way to route this cable, like I'd shown you before, go down through the mast here, exit this little notch, and then it goes out, and then it goes through the top of this standard wall mount, and now it's coming down through below. So now we have our mast correctly located. If you're having trouble inserting this mast down into the mount, make sure you loosen this adjustment knob. That way you can slide it in easier. And the purpose of this is to be able to tighten this down or loosen it so that you can rotate and aim the dish the proper direction. So let's go grab the cover and finish up this mount, and then I'll show you how to aim your actual dish. Okay, so now I'm up at the dish location here on top of the roof to show you how to align the Starlink. So I went ahead and plugged my dish in, allowed it about 10 or 15 minutes to boot up, and I opened my Starlink app, connected to the Wi-Fi, and you can see I've got an error message here that says Starlink misaligned. Starlink is misaligned by 9 degrees, tap to align for better performance. So this is where the manual aiming of the Gen 3 comes into play. How you have to do this is you can either go into the alignment tool, you can see that menu item there on the Starlink app, or you can just tap right on the error message that you're seeing, and it gives you this nice little alignment target. So this is going to update in real time as I rotate the dish. Let me switch hands here so hopefully you can see that screen. So I'm rotating the dish, and boom, now I'm good. I'm trying to get it perfect there. As you can see, it's kind of having me aim mostly north, kind of to the northwest. That's to be expected, but here's what happens again. It's updating real time, so that's really cool. It's really easy, and it gives you, you can see, you get a lot of wiggle room here. I think it's 10 degrees that you have to hit to avoid that error message. So I'm gonna try to get it aligned in there perfectly. And now I'm gonna tighten this little mounting screw here. Let me see if I can get a good angle. Okay, so now that I've got it aligned perfectly, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna tighten this down, this little adjustment knob. And I'm just gonna tighten it about just snug. And the way this works is it's not just friction based, it does have some teeth in there. So this now does not rotate even if you put some force on it. So now it's in the proper position. Let me double check again in the app here. Of course, it's disconnect. Okay, there we go. So now it says Starlink aligned. Your Starlink is pointed in the correct direction. As you can see, I've got it securely mounted now. It does wiggle around a little bit. That's not a big deal because this is an active phased array antenna. It doesn't have to stay completely stable and not move in order to connect to satellites. So let me double check, make sure that's tightened down completely. Yep, that wiggle seems to be pretty normal for this mount. And I'm going to click done, and now you can see it says, hey, Starlink's online. I don't have the error message anymore, and now you're aligned. So we're good to go. Okay, so to finish this video up, let me show you what I've done here. We've got the Starlink Gen 3 standard mount installed with the dish aligned, got the cable and everything connected, and I've done some cable management. I'm using the Starlink cable routing kit for this. I use the included wall attachment clips in the wall mount kit to secure it to the wall. But as you can see, I'm just coming down, clip every couple of feet, and then I am using the included grommet
with the cable routing kit to route it nicely into the garage here, and I've installed the drip loop as well. I'll attach a link here to the installation tutorial for the Starlink cable routing kit if you're interested in doing that yourself. But that's how I did my cable management. Do one more look here and back up at the dish.
Okay, so let's get to the review part. You saw how the installation process went, and overall it's pretty straightforward. I had to, do recordings and climb up and down the ladder for all that, so it took me a lot longer, but I think typically you'd be able to do it in 15 or 20 minutes pretty easily on your own, assuming you have the right tools and everything and a good installation location. But as far as the build quality goes, the important parts of this Starlink Gen 3 standard wall mount are metal, which includes the mounting bracket here. I really liked how they included the mounting hardware, the 2 lag screws, and the cable management clips that you could use to route the cable down the side of your wall. The one con that I can think of overall in this kit is how the mast connects to the mount. So as I showed in the video, the 2 snap together and they have plastic locking tabs. It's sturdy and it holds just fine. The problem is that you can't separate them practically, after you snap them together. So if you, for whatever reason, wanted to disassemble your wall mount, it's going to be really difficult. I actually broke one of the tabs trying to do just that. So that would be one of the cons. I think the other con that I can come up with after installing this mount and using it for a little bit is the fact that it only has a 4-inch clearance for as far as overhang goes. So if you have a pretty normal overhang roof, which is going to be more than 4 inches, you're not going to be able to install this on the wall. It's going to have to be directly to the fascia board like I showed in the video. So really I guess they call it a wall mount, but really you're not going to be able to install it on a wall unless you have a very, very low overhang that doesn't exceed more than 4 inches. That's the 2 really downsides that I see. Positives, these mounts for Gen 3 are cheaper overall than the previous generation mounts, which is nice. And it's easily snaps together. It's pretty much plug and play. There's not a whole lot of tools involved to install this, which I really liked. And cable management is also another plus. I like how you can mount the cable down through the tube and it goes out nice and clean, very easy. So overall, I'd say this is a great mounting option. Starlink really simplified their mounts for Generation 3, and this is going to be the one that most people install. So I think it's overall a quality product. I think you're going to be pretty happy with it. Time will tell as far as long-term durability and whether it holds up to wind. You saw in the video that even with the adjustment screw tightened down, the dish kind of wobbled a little bit. That's not a big deal. It's an active phased array antenna. It doesn't need to be completely still to be able to track the satellites. So time will tell on that. Have to update again in a long-term review. But as far as this video goes, my initial impressions, this is a great mount, pretty easy to install. For $55, I highly recommend it. Let me know if you have any questions or feedback, anything you'd like to know about the mount or other future products that you'd like me to review for Starlink Generation 3. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and also to our newsletter. Just head on over to starlinkhardware.com and you can find the sign up form there and check out our other blog articles. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.